well.
Hey,
Happy Tuesday. Hey,
surprise. I love it. I
surprise.
love it. I've got some of that in here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, we always coordinate. We always coordinate.
we could do the dance. We could do the dance. How are you?
That's, I'm doing great. It's a little hot here and smoky here in the Great Northwest. We have our fires back out this year, and Jasper has been evacuated, which is
Oh no,
really, really, yeah, 7,500 people, I think, something like that.
Jasper. Wow. And my daughter Lori lives in the mountains south of Jasper in Fernie, BC.
Right. I was thinking about her.
Her
Mhm.
friend Cassie lives in Jasper, so
Okay.
that's like one of her best, like her best friend, right?
Right. Yeah.
Holy cow,
Mhm.
that's incredible. So is it move? Which way is it moving, Lori?
I don't know. I'm just hoping it doesn't move south. We're 4 hours south of Jasper.
Okay,
You know, the Rockies are right there. Like we're on that western side. So
so it
we're,
can crawl. It can crawl down
oh,
the.
could do anything. Yeah, and it's
Wow.
windy. It's windy here today too.
And I heard it's supposed to continue to be windy. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. Well, all the best, and
Yeah.
for everybody that's facing this. I know that there's people on the front lines working
Oh.
their tail feathers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to the bone. So keep, best to them. Safety first,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Welcome to the press box, everybody. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, the co-host, and over to Doug, our host. I see our guest is here, Doug, so we'll just have you say hello and introduce our guest, and I'll just bring him right in here.
Hey, Stefan, how you doing, man?
Good,
It's
good.
good to have you here. Where are you coming in from today?
Uh, Grandchildren at the trailer,
Oh,
even the grass cut, propane, and 50 million emails and text calls coming in all at once. So yeah.
oh,
Oh,
wow.
isn't that fantastic? Like just to give the audience some reference, Stefan is the executive director of Veterans House, and what Veterans House does is it helps veterans get their business going, and it helps other businesses in Canada feed veterans. If they want to deal with veterans, you go to Stefan. If you're a veteran and you want to get a business going and deal with the globe, you talk to Stefan. Maybe you could give us just a little rundown, Stefan, on where you are right now, and what you're doing and the exciting things that are happening.
It's so exciting that we physically cannot keep up right now, which is a great first world problem to have. We have a retraining program partnership with the Disability Channel, and so they are retraining veterans into media. And that's one program. We have the wellness camp going on the East Coast this August, and that's going to be accompanied by a documentary crew, so that we can tell the world what we're doing and how we're going about it, with some bringing some heavy hitters as well, actual doctors who support this approach over pharmaceuticals and treating things as a symptom instead of a root cause. Then in addition to that, we're looking, I think TDC is looking at having a crew along with yourself at the Invictus Games, working on a few interviews. A couple of the guys I know have been on the games, and one is on this one, so we're going to work on that and see if we can't get some inside stories and scoop on what they're doing and why and how they're doing it, that kind of stuff. Where do you want me to stop? Because I can keep going for the next hour.
Well, I make the stories. Here's the thing, right? We're in a position now with Veterans House to make the stories available to people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the key. If people can hear stories that they relate to and engage and move a little bit closer and feel a little more independent. I mean, that was always the goal. When tell me, Stefan, for the audience, the ones who are out there and they want to make something and be successful, when was the first day you started with Veterans House? How long has it taken you to get the organization to the point where it's, cash flow positive, helping people en masse? Like, when did you start?
So I would say it's been 61 years, 2 months, and
Okay, that's you. You're
Good answer.
You're an entity. That's correct. But then there's another entity called Veterans House. You know, like that was started, you know, as a corporation, as a not-for-profit.
It's not that much a stretch, you see, because a year after me came along my brother. And my brother and I have had a great relationship growing up. We've been phenomenal friends the entire time. We've had the same friends. We've always hung out together. We're only a year apart. And we began with this conversation back in 2011. And the question on the table was, why was it I had not committed suicide? Why was I not dead? Why was I recovering when so many others were facing, suicide, elimination?
Good question. Great question.
Yeah, and that began the dialogue. And what we realized quickly was that I had the right help at the right time, with the right changes in my daily living routines and practices that made enough of an impact that it kept me alive for 20 years until I could start my healing process. And so the healing process for me really didn't start until 20 years after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us to refresh for the audience. Tell us about where you started in the military and how you ended up at that place where you realized you had to recover from something.
Yeah, well, I started off in the military getting top candidate on my first course, kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like it was nothing. I was like, oh wow, this is a system I can relate to. All I have to do is focus, and I can accomplish just about anything I wanted. And that's what I ended up doing. I was advanced parachutist. Excuse me, I'm a not advanced parachutist. I am a parachutist, not advanced parachutist. But I've got well over 200 jumps. I've done some pretty low-level jumps under 600 feet, and did one at night, full equipment as well. So these are all high-risk type stuff. I did a lot of mountain climbing, qualifications for mountain ops. I don't even know where to begin, Doug.
You're a medic. You weren't just jumping out of a plane.
Yeah, I did 7 years as a commando.
Yeah.
And I got deployed into Somalia, where I was given an experimental drug without warning. We were ordered to take it, and we are still actively seeking compensation for the wrongdoings on that 30 years after the fact.
And what they don't know, what the public doesn't really know about guys like you and people who are commandos, they never, ever, ever quit.
Never.
So if they're coming for you,
that means we're one of those. We're commandos then.
Yeah. The only way to stop us is to kill us, and I've already be pretty hard to kill.
Well, that's it. So if you're coming for if you're in a particular lane, you got that lane, and if you're not going as fast as you, then get out of that lane, or you're going to run them over, and that feeds into all the work that's happening, in the healing space, right? The shift from pharmaceuticals to plant medicine, the science-based approach to plant medicine. It's not just a hope and a wish. I mean, this stuff is working. This stuff saved your life, right?
And I'm already seeing it being attacked. And this is so that people can fully understand. I was given a neurotoxicant, right? This drug was known 5 to 7 years prior to our use of it to cause 38% neuropsychiatric injuries in the people that use it. All right, because that was a WHO study done in '85, published in '87. We started taking the drug in '92. Right, so they knew what this was. They gave it to us anyways, and then they hid all their dirty deeds. But to fully understand this neurotoxin, I was completely non-functioning as a human being. And then given a prescription drug that said, do not use with methylquine-based drugs such as, Lyrium, which is what we were given, Mm-hmm. So incidentally, my introduction to pharmaceuticals for treating neurotoxicity is 6 months in a lockup for a psychiatric break.
So you just couldn't maintain control of anything.
I couldn't control my emotions, my angers, my thoughts, my anything. Wow. I said I was totally. I was like sitting on a bus that's out of control and no one's driving, and you're helpless to do anything to change it.
It's like it almost put you back on the battlefield.
No, on the battlefield, I was in control.
Yeah.
God
Oh,
help you
okay.
get
Okay.
you dead. Sorry, but
See, most people wouldn't think like that, but you know, there you go.
I've watched a round bounce off my carrier 3 inches from my chest. It didn't phase me because throughout training, we were watching rounds bounce 6 inches from our face, on any given day, waiting to enter a building. There's your fire team partner that was firing, and you had to trust him to stop so you could enter the building, right?
Right.
So you get in these battle situations, and you are not thinking what normal people are thinking.
No.
Mm-hmm,
So tell us about your book that you're writing about this.
Well, the book is the disaster of the past 3 decades.
Is that the title? Is that the title, The Disaster of the Past 3 Decades?
No, but it should have been.
It should have been.
In fact, I just got an email overnight from publishers that the book edit is finished.
Oh,
and the cover edit is up to date as well. Thank you, by the way, Doug. So now we're working on layout. So things are moving quite rapidly. I've got 5 days to a week to go through the draft and take a look and find any more mistakes that I made that someone else missed.
And what is the title? The book title?
So the book is called Instinctive Measures, and it is literally on the last 30 years of what happens to military people when they are medically released. So from the time of your diagnosis or improper diagnosis to the divisional reporting in the chain of command, and so that people understand it's not a negative, it's a necessity. It's the way it's done that's the problem. So the command has to know who's fit to fight and who's not, who can be deployed and who can't. They don't need to know is the details. But in the past, all the details are shared by a, quote, investigator who has no qualifications for investigating. So if you were sexual assault, or if you were subject of any kind of abuse or a mental health issue, you've got no privacy. Everything's on the table, and it's going up the chain of command, and everyone's offering an opinion on it. So that's the second problem. The third problem is that, of course, you're facing medical release. And even though you spent a couple of years on a temporary category, and then you're being placed on a permanent category for release, and all this takes a couple of years, for some reason, that medical category that outlines all your deficiencies is not good enough for a pension. You still have to apply for a pension, and then you have to redress it when it comes in wrong, right? So, for example, I just got a new prescription written by my doctor. This was over a month and a half ago. He wrote it, but I'm waiting for approval for the prescription, and the approval came back for less than what he prescribed. Right, so a bureaucrat now has the right to reduce my medications.
Wow.
That's all I can say.
So now I have to go in and fight for that full increase, even though it's already been a month and a half. So it'll be another 2 months before I actually get my full increase.
As you pave this trail, okay, because that's what you're doing. It's a messy bush. You're hacking down stuff. You're going to pave this trail for other people. And that's the nature, my understanding, that's the nature of what Veterans House does. It paves the trail. It breaks it down into the simple steps. You can do 1 step a day. You could do 3 steps a day. You could take a off. Idiot proof. Like we're making this so idiot proof that it's not only like it's more than just veterans. It's just about anybody who's stepping into the world of servicing people, right? I mean,
I took over 2 years to find a strain of cannabis I can tolerate without hallucinating on.
Wow. Okay.
Because I'm that sensitive, and it's got to do with the neurotoxins. I've met people, and they've never met anyone like me who can take so little and lose their crap. Most of what I do is straight CBD, and the terpenes that I take with the THC is all to take everything and convert it into CBNs. Most people need to learn about the cannabinoid system in the human body. It's the plant-based system that's within our system. It's where we take terpenes and cannabinoids from all different kinds of plants and convert them and heal from those plants. And so medical cannabis is no different than any other plant, other than the fact that it's in higher concentration right, for its ability to convert into CBNs, cannabinoids, in order to heal the body. And once you get the right amount in, it's amazing how fast you can start healing. So I went from 260 pounds a few years back to 160 pounds. And that was initially, I dropped to about 185 through diet change alone. And then as I got onto the better anti-inflammatory plants, I dropped another 20, 30 pounds over 6 months to a year. This is the significance, and this is what's not being taught. So, if you go back to, what we were talking about from the book, you exit the military, there's no pension in place. You have to apply, right? And even if they keep you in long enough to get your pension, there's no guarantee you'll be kept in place. I've had mine canceled on me more than twice, and then I've had to fight to have it reinstated. In the meantime, I had no income and I was non-functioning as a human being, locked up in a psych ward. How do you do that from there, right? It's not easy.
Oh my God.
And there's next to no help. So, people like Fabian and Veterans for Healing, these guys have been phenomenal for people like me, because I was so hesitant to try something new. And my reaction to it when I did was off the charts. So it's like, oh, how am I supposed to switch over into this? And so that's where peer support comes in, because right now there's no expert out there to tell you what to take, how much, what delivery method to take. All the laws are all the laws for medicinal use are based on recreational abuse. And so it's like, those laws don't benefit me, because I'm not out there abusing something recreationally. I just want to sleep at night, and I want to walk around during the day without being in pain 24/7.
So this is a manual, Instinctive Measures by Stephen Beardwood, is a manual for people when it comes to pharmaceuticals, neurotoxins, plant medicines, healing, performance, recovery. These are the words that you'll be using as tags, right, when you share your book with people, correct?
Yeah, that and peer support.
Peer support, of course, yes, being able to guide and help people into another space in their life.
And one of the things that I just learned in the past couple of weeks is if I want my stuff to be promoted online, I can't say peer supported healing, because then I'm making a promise that I can heal someone through peer support, and I'm not a licensed physician. And so your feeds get paused.
Yes.
Right. So I'm learning wording even beyond wording at this point in time.
Well, communication, you got the czar of communication with us. We've got her with us actually on the call. So, and I'm sure she'd like to provide some feedback before you use the words that you use. Right, Laurie? I mean,
because I learned that because of my 32 years as, let's say, a service provider who never qualified to be insurable or accredited, even though I know people who have participated in our educational workshops, stopped migraines, cured cancer, got people off of booze, but I'm not allowed to make any of those claims.
Well, not only that, Laurie, but the medical people attend your teachings.
That's true.
If they're on the cutting edge, they're coming to you, right?
That is true. That is true. Like Dr. John Lin in Taiwan in 2005, chief of psychiatry for Mercy Catholic Hospital in Jinsu City.
Yeah.
Brought his psychiatric and professional people to me because he wanted all of them to participate in the life-changing self-worth workshops that we provide, because he wanted to provide that for his patients' families. Like, we're talking 2005, okay? They're so far ahead. Wow. And here's a whole professional mental health care team. And as a matter of fact, during that process, I went to Taiwan for 2 weeks to train up his staff, how to deliver to their patients and their families, because he said there was no support for the families of someone who's mentally ill.
And that's
he
true.
Created that, and he left his practice. Yeah, he left his practice and started his own clinic, because the hospital and the system would not allow him to integrate what they had learned from us into the medical system?
I have a friend who's a quadriplegic.
Okay.
He's in his 30s, give or take. So no, it's not you, Doug. Though technically, I know that you're still a quadriplegic. But he was having some mental health issues. Someone had given him some THC, say, oh, this will help with your depression. But they gave him sativa, and they gave him the highest possible THC, which causes, instant psychotic break kind of deal, right? And actually, let's come back to this in a second too, because there was two research papers I just read with regards to this. So anyways, he ended up with some serious mental health issues, but because he was being violent and acting out, even though he was in a wheelchair and was actually physically harmless, other than maybe he could run into you, they ended up kicking him out of the psych ward and left him on the porch of the hospital in the middle of winter, right? Because a homeless shelter would not take him because he was acting out and was violent. So when it comes to support for mental health at home, it does not exist.
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very familiar with that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if we can come back now to that, because one of the first things that people do, and I know because this is what I did, is I had a friend who said, oh, try this if you're going to try marijuana, because I love this stuff, right? And sure enough, the first thing I tried was he said it was a balanced blend. It was probably a balanced blend of sativa, right? And me and sativa don't do well. I've been up for 6 hours and out of my freaking mind with no memory of it whatsoever, and driving my wife absolutely crazy. These are the kind of things that kind of strain does for me. And of course, it does do this for other people, especially in high doses. So if you're going to try this for any medical reason, I strongly recommend you actually get some counseling on it instead of listening to your best friend who says, try this, I really like it, because they don't know what you're talking about.
For your performance, Stefan, maybe you could share with our audience, because this is really cool. This is legal now, guys. Everybody that's listening, we're talking about cannabis. And don't forget, it's legal, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't go to jail.
No, you don't go to jail, but Stefan chooses not to necessarily buy his, but he makes his own specifically for him. So maybe you could share that with our audience, what your regimen is, please.
Okay, yeah. So because I can only take certain strains, I'm limited in what I can purchase. And I've had to go through multiple suppliers to find that one strain that I can take that just puts me to sleep at night and doesn't knock me out. And
but you don't smoke it. You don't smoke it. You take the bud, you condense it down. That's what I'm interested in telling the audience. So you don't smoke cannabis. You don't put any smoke in your lungs, right?
Well, if I smoke it, I won't sleep long enough because it doesn't last long enough. So
it's more unhealthy too, right? So you're doing it the healthy way. So share with people what you do with your.
So there's three components. One is the strain. Two is the strength, right? And what it does for you, right? And the third is the delivery system. So I did originally vape because I couldn't stand the smell. And even vaping itself, I could cough up a lung. I finally got to the point where I could vape it without coughing up the lung. And I would sleep till 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30, and I'd be awake. Because when you inhale it, you get an immediate effect, but it doesn't last for a long period of time, right? So it wears off quicker. So you have to continually replace it. When you have an edible, it's slower to load into your body, but it lasts longer in your body. So what happens is I take a CBD dose at 8 o'clock in the morning. By about 9:30, 10 o'clock, it's kicking in. That's when I'm going to need a new one, probably around 3 or 4 o'clock latest. And then again, 8 o'clock before I go to bed, I do the CBD again, only that time with a little bit of THC in it. And the CBD mitigates the high from the THC, and that just puts me to sleep instead of getting high. But the real key is that it stays in the body, it lasts longer, so I have less flare-ups, I have less problems. And I've busted up my right shoulder, I've tore up my left, I've got my hips are seizing up on me, I've had fractures from the bottom of my ankles and both legs up halfway into my femurs. I've had my left hand surgically repaired twice. I've had surgery on my right hand twice to remove lesions from my nerves, probably from neurotoxin maybe. And then I have compressed disc in my lower back, and I have chronic encephalopathy of the brainstem. Yet despite all of this, for some reason, when I get the right dosage of the right strain at the right time of day, right? And I supplement that every 2 weeks, by the way, with psilocybin, 600 milligrams. I get to function like a normal human being and pretend that I'm normal, even though I've never been in my life.
You're in good company here.
So you put what is it? You make a butter, right?
I make a butter.
So you take
Put
the
it on your
cannabis,
toast?
you boil it down into a butter, and then you filter it, and then you have this butter that you use that he makes just from bud. So he gets the bud and turns the bud into a butter that's easy to manage. You put it on your toast. You can do whatever you want with it. And
you can, but
the dose.
I have to say I do not eat toast because I eat 0 grains, 0 sugars, and I eat 0 processed foods.
Just the cannabis. I don't want any bread. Just give me the cannabis.
I don't need to eat.
One of my secret recipes that tastes like crap, according to my brother, but I can tolerate, is my lentil muffins.
Oh wow!
And so now, what I do when I do my medication, I just want my medication. I want it strictly in the amount. So what I do is I get 1 cup of coffee in the morning. So my morning butter, I put that into my coffee. It melts, and I sip it down. Same with the evening. I have a nice hot drink. Throw my butter into the hot drink and just do my medications that way. You can do it into baked goods. Problem with baked goods, in my opinion, is they all have starch and sugar in them, and I can't do them.
Can you imagine? That's hilarious. It's so hilarious. You're saying you're not going to eat the muffin, but you're going to eat the cannabis because it's better for you.
So what I do is I take the leftover cannabis after I make the butter, because the cannabis still has butter infused in it. And I mix that with the lentils and make a muffin out of that. So when I have my muffin, it's like having an extra dose of CBD.
Now we're hearing about Stefan's next book, CBN and CBG, because most of the people who are listening to us don't know what that is. I have my CanCell license. My daughter owns a store. So I understand what it is and how powerful this anti-inflammatory is. So powerful that I was at a charity golf tournament with a whole bunch of people my age and older, and I dropped a little bottle of my CBD oil out, onto the ground, and I picked it up, and everybody, there was 4 or 5 people, about 60, 65, looking at me. They knew exactly what it was. I said, "You guys know what this is," because they're all using it.
Right.
I was in physio 2 weeks ago, and they were like, my shoulders keep seizing up on me, and we were doing some acupuncture with the electronics to it, and boy, that's super effective too, by the way, for joint pains. But I was commenting because my physiotherapist and I were talking, because I gave her one of my cannabis cookies. So once again, the leftover cannabis, after I make the THC butter, right? I put that into a chocolate cookie made with almond flour, right? And there's no sugar in it, but there's chocolate, and it is awesome tasting, believe it or not. Unless you're my brother for some reason, but I don't care about his opinion, by the way. Anyways, I gave her the cookie. She really enjoyed the cookie as well, and she had a great night's sleep, and she was impressed. She said, "No, I didn't really get high. I just, it was lights out." And this lady in the next stall turned around and she goes, "I need one of those cookies." she's an older lady,
Yeah. And word is spreading because the impact is palpable, and you don't have to get high. You don't have to smoke a big giant cracker like this, and smell and all that stuff. If you're struggling out there with your mental health, you have to eat 1,500 pounds of cannabis in 15 minutes to overdose. Okay, just so everybody's aware. And that's the medical. That's a medical fact. Okay, so if you're an elephant, you might have a chance.
Right.
But you can't overdose on this stuff. So if you're struggling and you're thinking, "Well, I need another drug from my doctor. I need another." Look, just give it a shot. Edibles, give it a shot. Oils, just feel it out. And if you need help, like Veterans House is there to help. That's what we're here to do. We're here to serve other people. So reach out, right?
Yeah, you definitely have to look up cannabis coaches, verify them, make sure that they're who they say they are. If you're a veteran, contact Veterans for Healing, even a phone call. They'll work you
Yes.
through it and they'll help you to get things done. There are some appointments you have to do in person, in office. That makes it hard for people. I happen to be traveling to the East Coast, so I was able to do that. Not everyone can. But, you know, like there's other solutions. There are ways to go about it. And if you talk with someone who's knowledgeable about it, then they can help you to work your way through that. There is a key component here. And I spent a day in a recreational cannabis shop just to see what was going on as a learning process. And it was all people my age and older, all wanting pain relief or sleep. No one is wanting the high. Everyone just wants to be and feel better.
Better.
But I also see the researchers or someone is paying for researchers now to start pushing the fact that, oh, there's more psychotic breaks from prescribed medications. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Is it from the prescribed medications, or is it from people who have prescriptions who are taking something that their friends recommend instead of what they're being coached to take, and they're getting offered the sativas, you know, which is not necessarily the best interest of all people who take it.
Now, do you guys know what a hot rum toddy is?
I do.
Yes, yum.
So, you know, you put butter in a hot rum toddy. So maybe we should substitute that butter for your butter.
Oh.
If you're on the
Laurie, I've not been doing a whole lot of alcohol since I've been doing
No, I know. That was just in chat. That was just a joke.
Now my wife is going to come. She's coming after you, Laurie.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Just
adding my East Coast flavor here, trying to figure out how we can, you know, convince some people that
I'm
they
going to try it. I'm going to try it tonight. I'm going to be out of my mind, and my wife is coming after you.
What a fascinating conversation. So the book helps people. This is your second book, Stefan, for sure.
No.
Like, you know so much. This guy, listen, everybody that's listening to this, Stefan is a medic and he jumped out of planes. This guy pays attention to detail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you want details, you know, and you're a veteran or you're not a veteran, or you want to help in this space, or you own a cannabis store, you want to advertise on our show, reach out. We'll make the connections for you. Go ahead, Laurie.
No, I was just going to say, you know, as far as jumping out of airplanes, I wanted to try that skydiving. And of course, my husband's background, military, AME, and he said, there's no way you're jumping out of a perfectly serviceable aircraft.
Thing in the Canadian military as a perfectly serviceable aircraft.
Yeah, well, he did, because he worked on them and he knows. He worked on the Sea King. He worked on the Sea King.
No,
they all fell apart when he left.
Well, you think of that was, in fact, that's one of the, there you go, back to the book. One of the other things that caused you to suffer on your exit is the lack of equipment. You know, literally in 1992, we had deployed with a brand new 8-wheeled ambulance. It was a Grizzly, that's what they referred to as. A couple of our guys in the unit, they had designed the workings on it. Rob Harley and I think it was Brian Johnson. They went down to Chrysler and helped to code the setup and that kind of stuff. And in 2019, there was one vehicle operating in Petawawa, and it was one of those ambulances that we deployed with, and they were stealing parts off of all the other vehicles to keep it running.
Well, I am going to share that with Ron, and he will probably agree with you totally. He'll get a big laugh out of that when I tell him, by the way, it's okay for me to jump, because none of them are perfectly serviceable anyway.
Some of them are 70 years of age.
I know.
Get out of them before you get in.
They don't have the hours on them, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to get out before you get in sometimes.
Yeah, there you go.
Especially the takeoff. I mean, you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
Takeoff, because the runway was so bad.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Good.
So what's so let's talk about the next steps and the timing of everything, because you're setting things up right now, getting this book out, and then getting the next book out on food and cannabis, but getting this first book out this spring. Go ahead, Laurie.
1 chapter on beverages.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Healthy beverages.
So getting the book out, you're setting things up, and when as the day that this book comes out, you're coming on the show. And if you're not coming on this show, and it's because it's on a Tuesday, maybe it's on a Thursday, the book's launching, we'll find another show on the Today
Yeah,
program that you can,
absolutely.
so that day that this book comes out, you're going to be scheduled that whole week, you're going to be really busy with us letting everybody know how it's going.
That should be sometime October.
Perfect.
Sometime in a great timing.
I'll
Great
make a
timing.
note of that. Because actually, Stefan would fit on all 5 shows, because Monday is self-care, self-improvement. Right?
There you go. Yeah.
Thursday, he could come on with Ramin and I. Money matters. Stop buying drugs. Wasting money on stuff that doesn't work for you. We could do finance around that. By the way, today he made a list, gave us a list of the top 10 places in the world to live, and Canada didn't make the list. So, nor the United States, but he did that for us last year. He just did it this year. Wednesday is Wellness Day. Stefan, you could be there. Thursday is Veterans Day, so you could be there. And then Friday, it's just up for grabs, and we would grab you and put you on there.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week.
We could book that whole week just for you.
And you're just about to start talking about the Invictus Games a little more. Maybe you could tell us about that, because there's some exciting news there. Like, you can't say too much, I know, but there's some confirmations that have been made about the Invictus Games and the participation of Veterans House. Please.
Yeah. So right now we are still working on structure. Structure comes before anything else. If you get your structure right, it doesn't matter really what speed you operate at, because you're going to operate faster than if you're working alone anyways.
That's
right. Because you're teamed, right? And things just go faster, they go smoother. There's someone watching for you, so if you slip up, you make a mistake, you miss something, you can catch it easier. Likewise, like, there's someone to encourage you to keep going. So I think those things make a huge difference. I got lost on my train of thought on that.
No, well, if for sure on the team side, getting inside an ecosystem is critical, right? And this year in February, I believe the Disability Channel is going to be on the ground in Whistler at the Invictus Games on February 2nd, and I think they start around the 8th of February. So we're going to be very involved, right?
Yeah. So getting the team set out. So the team right now is in training, right? Yes. So they've just started the next cohort, and the team is in training. So we need a full team to graduate. That's the first requirement.
From the media program.
From the media program, right?
Okay. Yes.
Because it's veterans going in media, right, to do those duties, right? And then there's the interviews of veterans who are in the games, in the background, the stories and stuff like that. All kinds of stuff to be told and to educate people on, especially, what would make a group of men and women, right, who've gone through just physically changing, life-changing disabilities to compete physically and go after the gold, and it's because at the heart they're still warriors. Nothing changed on the inside. They have a trauma, they have a disability, and many people have that without physical injury. So I think it's really important that we realize that just because we have trauma or we have a disability doesn't eliminate us from competing in the world and being successful. That's, to me, that's the big message about the Invictus Games, right?
Yeah, and we extend, Veterans House extends from that, because these people will finish the games, they'll get their medal, they'll be happy about it, and then they'll have to go back to reality. And why don't they come and see us? And that's the relationship, is come and see Veterans House, plug into us for the checkbox formula. Don't fool yourself. You can go try to do it another way, but really, there's really only one way when it comes right down to it, right, Stefan? Structure, leadership, strategy, then put people into it. So as you said, structure is so critical. So come to us and we'll help make sure that you do it right. Because go ahead.
there's a lot of negative right now about the Canadian military and government, of course, right? And a lot of that is because of the structure they chose to take. I mean, when they form office, they form a structure, they follow that structure, and they commit to it. And we're at the point now that they're doubling down so hard on a failing structure, right? That everyone's begging them, please don't double down on this structure any longer. But they're not really listening. Structure is critical. If you don't have the right structure, you're never going to heal, right?
Correct.
Whether, and it's not whether or not you agree with the left or the right, or, because right now it's so polarized just out of political stupidity that we forget that there's only one way to really feed the general population, and that's to go to work for them. You have to benefit them, not yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Like you have to commit to another person wholeheartedly, give them your life, you're the best of who you are, right? In order to feel any real true self-worth in the world. That's my take on it, in my opinion, right? If you're not giving yourself to other people, right, then, and I'm not talking about being abused by them and being used and discarded. I'm talking about being useful, about helping people to develop and their goals and to achieve them, right? Because if you can help one person to better themselves, and they can help one other person, then you've helped two, then you've helped four, then 8, and 16, and 32. Keep it going, right? Do the math, right?
And you don't hear about 99% of them. When you hear somebody report back to you that you've helped somebody else, right? I mean, there's another 99 of them out there that you've helped.
That's
but
right.
you never found out because the impact can take a long time, can take several years before they metaphorically learn to walk again.
Yeah, and this is where these people are waiting for gratification from their activities.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing the wrong activity,
Yes.
right? If you're waiting for gratification from something, you're doing it wrong.
Well, actually, statistically as well, like right now, there's 3 of us on the show. Right now, energetically, we are reaching 750 people. So in my world, if one person comes and heals themselves and gets their self-worth on track and whatever, they will immediately impact 250 others.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? Isn't that that should be a big enough reason for everybody who's listening to this show to start doing that.
And now I have to rewrite one of my chapters in my book, add Laurie to it, and quote her. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Laurie.
And by the way, another quote, it's not money that generates great ideas. It's great ideas that generate money.
Yes.
That's a Laurie Davis quote as well. I have a lot of it.
It's hard to put a plug. It's really hard for this book to put a plug in it because it's moving so fast. And that's the way it was designed, right, Stefan? You're adding to it right now because there's all these successes happening. You probably could have closed the door on the book and put it out a year and a half ago, but you'd have to write the continuing story anyways, right? So where do you draw the line? Huh?
It's like a series.
Yeah.
The saga continues.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see this end the saga in one respect, because every topic that I cover in the book, I offer a solution which is decades old. And those solutions are not mine. They were introduced by other veterans decades ago at parliamentary committee hearings. The members of parliament invite veterans to come and speak to them so that they can set policy or advise on policy. But it's a dead-end process because the parliamentary hearings do not make any decisions. They only make recommendations. They're partisan in nature. They rarely agree, even when they do. In the example, a couple of years ago, they were 100% in agreement. They sent off a letter to the Minister of Health, and they got no response. So it's like, why would I want to waste my time doing that process? It's a lot faster to build your own structure and operate it without federal interference than
Absolutely.
with it, right? And so you just have to choose the way you do your wording. You choose, like, you know, peer support is peer support. I don't have to heal anybody. You do your own healing.
You have to do your own healing. No one else can do it for you. It's like going to the bathroom. No one
So
can
if
do
I
that.
offer you a peer support environment or a peer support you know, session, right? All I'm doing is teaching you how to do something for yourself.
That's right.
That can't be regulated.
Well, and being another set of eyes, I'm finding that is really helpful to people these days. I just did a 4-day retreat in Sutton, Quebec, and you know, just this past weekend, and it, like I said, being around other people, going out, like I lost my train of thought too there, but
well, you're able to see things through a different lens.
Yes, a different perspective, because we all get so locked in, right, Stefan? I mean, and if anybody's going to get locked in, it's going to be somebody in the military, because they're so conditioned over such a long period of time to be able to execute, right?
I got a great story for you.
Please.
There's a friend of mine. He passed away about a year ago, Ray. Him and I are complete opposites in absolutely every way. If you know, like he's far right, I'd be far left. You know what I mean? Or if he's far left, I'm far right. If you know, if he's a liberal, I'm a conservative. Or you know, if he's NDP, I'm PPC, whatever, you know, extreme. And he was Air Force, I was airborne. You know what I mean? Like it's literally the complete opposites. You know, he walks around the camps with his hands in his pocket, and I laugh at him when he falls. You know, but Ray and I, because we had the complete opposite viewpoints, we could sit down over a cup of coffee in the morning and argue for 2-3 hours, have a great time doing it, because it's all just really discussion. Walk away with a different perspective and a viewpoint that we didn't have before we came into the conversation. I learned more things from being challenged by Ray on my beliefs, and he learned more from me challenging him than I ever did having a conversation with someone who believes the same thing I believe.
It sounds like you guys should have got married.
Probably should.
Well, most marriages, that's what they're like. One end of the stick and then the other, right? Try to come together in the middle. That was just a joke too.
Well, and you identify because you're in the military with them, and you didn't go down the education road. You know, they say an educated person is less likely to do stuff like that. Be patient, be caring, because they know so much. They think they know so much. They're too busy for that type of thing,
well, they're
right?
Programmed.
Yeah. So everything you talk about and everything that, as I review the book, and I've reviewed it, this is what's being talked about in the book, and it's so timely for this particular time in history, because as I mentioned to both you guys, the peak of the fallout from the pandemic is still on its way towards us. The peak won't hit us till this coming winter. So this book is coming out this October. And is there any place right now people can pre-order it, Stefan? Are you setting things up for them to be able to do that?
Not yet. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Laurie.
No, I know you're on a bit of a time frame, so we just want to excuse you here any minute.
Yeah, that's what I was just checking to see what time it was, because I do have an appointment at 2:15. I have to leave.
So no, you haven't done any preliminary stuff yet for promotion.
Not yet.
So the book. So I was very fortunate. They read it, they liked it, and I guess I was a good enough writer that all I required was a book edit.
Great.
And so the book edit is now complete. The cover design is now complete. The next step is the layout, and then we'll look at the pre-release and the release, that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
Okay.
Within the next few weeks.
Now you're ready at Veterans House to be able to help somebody write a book, because you did it. That's amazing, man. That's fantastic. And you've got another function that you've got to attend in about 10 minutes. So
we'll let you go.
Yeah, but
thanks so much.
Yeah, amazing. It's just an amazing conversation today, and can't wait to review it. I'm looking forward to it, Stefan. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
And whatever we can do to support that and promote it, we're here for you.
Yeah, 100%. If anybody needs any help, give us a ring.
Thank you. Take care.
See you later. Oh, that's great. It's all, like Stefan and I met 7-8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And we finished each other's sentence from the very beginning. I was speaking at a conference in Toronto, and
Wow.
he came to see me speak, and then we talked afterwards, and he laid out really back then, that many years ago, what he wanted to achieve. So if you're out there and you've got a concept or an idea or a thing you want to pursue, I've seen it so many times in my life that it's a 7-year game, right? Because you're going to work really hard sometimes, you're going to back off a little bit at times, but keep that vision, clear in your head, because Stefan is an example of believing, when we met, that in 7 years he could have everything that he had, the picture he had in his mind, and the cash flow he needed to be able to help even more people. And that's what he has today.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't be denied, but don't believe anybody who says that it's going to happen in like 15 minutes. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen in a year. It doesn't happen in 2 years. I struggle with it personally. When I'm in the year 3 of something and it hasn't materialized, like, I struggle, because you've been working at it a long time, but some things don't manifest that quickly, right? Some things take that one person to come into your life to make a difference. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's taken me decades, really, to get
Yeah.
here. Like, there's 3 questions I always ask people. Why are you here? What do you want? And what are you willing to do to get it? And for me, the answer is always the same. Why am I here? To make a difference. What do I want? To make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
What do to get what I want? Continue to make a difference.
That's so, what, it's so simple. And the retreat I went to this weekend, it's just that it resonates with that. It just, the whole thing. And I don't think you can heal unless you take that approach.
That's right. That's right.
And it's so simple. It's so darn simple. It doesn't require medication or drugs to realize it. But you get so much when you get that, right? And
Yes.
that's the simple message. And Stefan's book is going to complement
Yes.
all of that philosophy.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, and when you live like that, you're always on your purpose. I have so many clients who say, "Well, I don't know what my purpose is." I said, "Well, your purpose is to serve others. That's why we're here, is to help each other. So if you're not on that path, you are off your purpose."
You can't have your purpose until you become aware.
That's
So
right.
awareness comes before purpose. So if you're out there running around or helping other people run around looking for their purpose, switch it. Switch it up. Just help them become more aware.
Mm-hmm.
Learn something,
Mm-hmm.
and then teach them that something. The most efficient something that you could teach, right? And I think that's what that is. It's just an efficiency, right? Be aware, then your purpose. And if you don't have self-worth, your purpose is going to be teeny, tiny. Right? I mean, is that not true?
Yes. And a lot of that is that your dog?
That's my little pup, yeah.
Is that your
My
puppy
little
or
cutie.
my puppy?
She's protecting everybody. She wanted to be on the show today. That's
well,
perfect.
You should have brought her. Well, we'll have doggy day. I'll bring my dog. And
oh, would I love that? She would sit. I sit here like Dr. Evil with my little cavapoo. It'll be frightening, because I got the head, I got the animal.
You do. You kind of look like him, You could be that understudy for sure. That's too funny. Well, we had Pride in the kennel on the weekend, and I can't tell him too quickly that he's going to see Gunther at the kennel. If we're going to take him at noon, I have to tell him at noon, because otherwise he's jumping and driving us crazy till he can get in the truck and go see Gunther. He loves the kennel.
Or standing there staring at you.
Yeah, like staring me down, like you said. So he's going to hold me to it. Look at that. Even a dog can hold you to your word.
I know. They're actually better at it.
Yeah, well, some of them are running the household,
That's right. Well, this one is running ours for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it's
hear
a fabulous day today to see
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
The guests upcoming as we move towards the fall
Yes.
are going to be, there's going to be a lot of athletes coming on, sharing
Yeah.
their perspective about performance and recovery. And I'll probably be popping around to a couple other shows. So, you know,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if anybody's looking to advertise, looking to share their message with our audience, please, you know, like give us a call and talk to us, and we'll figure out, you know, what you're looking to accomplish.
And look who's here who wants to say a proper goodbye.
Oh, Stefan, you're back again. Do you want to start over again? Let's just do it all
No,
again.
No.
you can have the last word here, Stefan, because we're going to go shortly. Over
I had
to
an
you.
extra 10 minutes that I. So
Yeah, I
I
didn't see
thought I would
that.
wait to say goodbye to you and thank you again properly. So appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for closing it
Okay.
out for us, Stefan. Appreciate
Right
it.
on. Okay, everybody.
Everybody have a great
See you
day.
later. You bet.